Hello there everyone. I've been searching for another topic to sink my teeth into, and it occurred to me the other day that there is a type of debunking video that I believe is rarely seen. As I aim to be providing original content on this channel, I will do my best to provide a service that I've perceived so far as being slightly lacking in supply on the YouTube scene, and that is the rigorous debunking of an official article on a professional website. This is, of course, not to say that videos doing just that are not to be found on YouTube, quite the contrary. I'm sure you could find many. But I find that more often than not, such videos are abandoned in favor of critiquing other YouTubers, or if I do find a video about a news article, it is typically done in an offhanded, dismissive manner, as usually the type of article being addressed is rather hyperbolic. I will instead be meticulously describing all the faults I see in your standard legacy media news article, and laying out why I find their journalistic standards to be lacking, and the precise manner in which they participate in spin journalism. Now, I'd like to get one thing straight first. I'll be starting off with some bias to the left, in the form of the Huffington Post, but that certainly does not mean that the left is the only side of the political divide that participates in this variety of spin journalism. Further videos will tackle right-wing examples of this behavior as well. Additionally, note that I may be forced to defend positions that align with the right during the course of this deconstruction, as a direct result of the source material omitting vital details as to their opponent's side of the argument. My presentation of a missing counterargument is not an endorsement of said counterargument. Keep that in mind. So, today I'll be taking a look at this piece from the Huffington Post, entitled, "Jake Tapper Nails the Hypocrisy in Trump's Buy American Executive Order." Right from the beginning, I am seeing some problems. I have no problem with opinion pieces, and if this was such a piece, I would therefore have no problem with the title. But that would be the issue. This is not an opinion piece. Or if it is deliberately hidden in such a way as to make it very unclear. So bearing in mind that this is not an opinion piece, let's analyze the title a little closer. Jake Tapper nails the hypocrisy in Trump's Buy American Executive Order. The first word I take issue with here is the term nails. This is an interesting choice of word to me. This is because it has somewhat of a dual meaning. In my first reading of this, my initial interpretation was that the Huffington Post was expressing the sentiment that they believe Jake Tapper nailed something, as in, he accomplished something in an extremely proficient manner. However, to nail can also mean to reveal the true nature of, and it seems clear that the Huffington Post intended both meanings to be interchangeable here following the next words. What's important to remember about the word choice of nail is that it has a number of neutral synonyms, such as highlights, but that the Huffington Post intentionally chose a word that paints Jake Tapper in a very positive light, rather than a neutral one. The next word I'm going to take issue with is hypocrisy. The word hypocrisy has a decisively negative connotation, and the Huffington Post knows this quite well. They might have used other, more neutral terms, such as duplicity, or even a different word with a negative connotation, such as insincerity. But I believe the use of the word hypocrisy was actually very calculated, as it accomplishes two goals at once. First, with its negative connotation juxtaposed with Trump, in direct contrast to the positive connotation juxtaposed with Tapper in the beginning, it has effectively established the good guy and bad guy in this situation, without even having to look at the article first. Secondly, it allows the application of a negative label, further establishing the designated bad guy, in this case Donald Trump, as an other who is acting in an unacceptable manner. This, I believe, is why the terms duplicity and insincerity were unacceptable alternatives, among others. Duplicity is too neutral and does not effectively establish the good guy bad guy narrative that they are trying to set up. Insincerity, while being of a negative connotation and setting up the narrative effectively, does not have its own recognizable label. Calling someone an insincere person is not a very effective label, but calling a person a hypocrite is clear, concise, recognizable, and very othering. This makes hypocrite the most advantageous word to use for the narrative here. So let's read that title back and see what we can now spot in its construction. Jake Tapper nails the hypocrisy in Trump's Buy American executive order. So how could this title be reconstructed to present a neutral position from the get-go? Personally, I think it would look more like this. Jake Tapper suggests lack of consistency between Trump's personal practices and his Buy American executive order. A little more wordy, but certainly more neutral and accurately descriptive of the current situation. It's also structured in such a way as to not present a good guy and a bad guy. Additionally, by using suggests as opposed to nails, we do not presuppose that Jake Tapper is correct before even listening to what he has to say. So, now that the title is out of the way, let's read into the article. The first thing displayed in the article is a clip from CNN's Jake Tapper, just under 3 minutes long. I will show it here now in its entirety to assure you that I am leaving nothing out.
Thanks, Brooke. The president just signed an executive order to buy American. So wait, does that mean he wants me to stop buying Trump products? The lead starts right now. Make America buy American again. President Trump ordering the U.S. government to buy America and buy American and hire American. But should the president be looking into his own company's business practices first? The latest in conflict of interest watch. On the same April night she had dinner with President Xi, Ivanka Trump won some potentially lucrative trademarks in President Xi's home country of China. Plus, breaking news after a 3-day manhunt that started with a murder that was horrendously posted to Facebook. The suspect is now dead. But do police know if he made good on his evil promise to kill more people before he killed himself? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Just moments ago, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at putting to paper some of the rhetoric from his campaign. What the White House is calling its Buy American, Hire American order. It would beef up some protections for specific products made in the U.S. while also initiating a review of the program for skilled immigrants, the H-1B visa program, which the White House and plenty of other critics say has been abused by corporate America. Buying American and hiring American. It's time, the president said today, repeatedly, assailing cheap, subsidized, and low-quality foreign goods. It's an important issue. It's one I asked then-candidate Trump about in June 2015 because, of course, many Trump Corporation products are not made in the U.S. Far from it. As you may or may not know, this is a Trump tie.
Yes.
I bought it for this interview.
Oh, not only that, I mean, I buy a lot of stuff because...
But as you know, they're made in China.
Very beautiful tie, by the way.
It's a lovely tie.
Yeah.
It's made in China.
Correct.
Is it hypocritical at all for you to talk about this?
Not at all.
It's not just the ties, of course. Trump clothing, according to reporting by the CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post, is made in Bangladesh, it's made in Pakistan, it's made in India and Honduras, in addition to the U.S. Ivanka Trump apparel is also made in China and Indonesia and Vietnam. Now, as for hiring American, a CNN review found that the president, as a corporate head, has hired more than 1,300 foreign guest workers to work at his various businesses here in the U.S. over the past 15 years, including requesting 78 visas to staff his 2 Florida properties for this year. Let's go now to CNN's Jeff Zeleny.
Let's go over his points from the video. Number 1. Trump orders the government to purchase American products over foreign products and hire American workers over foreign workers. This is an objective fact. Number 2. Trump produces some of his products in foreign countries and uses foreign workers to produce some of his products and to construct some of his buildings. This is an objective fact. Number 3. This makes Trump a hypocrite. This is a subjective opinion. This is a widely used tactic in legacy media nowadays, and I'm sure even here on YouTube. Objective facts are presented in succession, and quickly followed by an opinion presented in the same tone of voice. This dupes the listener into believing that the presenter is making a statement of fact when they are in reality merely opining on the situation. To this end, if you caught it while watching this video, CNN intentionally cut off the portion of the video wherein Trump is allowed to defend himself from the accusation of hypocrisy. Let's watch his response now.
Correct.
Is it hypocritical at all for you to talk about this?
Not at all.
While you're manufacturing your clothes?
No, I'm building the old post office, and I just made an order from China because they've cut their currency to such... I'm a private person. I may not be a private person for long. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Right.
I talk about my ties in
Right.
speeches. I'm open. I say my ties many times are made in China. Not all of them, by the way, but a lot of them are made in China because they've manipulated their currency to such a point that it's impossible for our companies to compete.
So, if I can clarify the position of Jake Tapper's opposition here, that being Trump and his constituency, making these ties in China does not make Trump a hypocrite, and in fact, proves his point even further. As Trump said, it is so much cheaper to produce products in China, US companies are unable to compete, and thus have no choice but to produce in China. Trump explained he was no exception to this, and as a businessman, was just trying to make maximum profit. His plan to introduce tariffs on foreign goods would allow US businesses to begin competing with these foreign countries, and as soon as it came to the point where it was cheaper to produce in the US, companies would begin producing products here again. But how does all this work out in relation to his executive order? Personally, I would imagine the same arguments will be used again, and to a degree we can already see that this is true. Jake Tapper calling Trump a hypocrite on CNN recently for signing this executive order is proof positive that the left is going to repeat the same phrases from 2 years ago, and it seems likely to me that the right will not change their rebuttal very much either, considering it appeared to work 2 years ago. Looking at the rest of the Huffington Post article below the video, pictured here, it is mostly a rehashing of all that was said in the video, highlighting the important parts where they can make it seem as if Jake Tapper nailed Trump. The only new argument to be presented is this one. The president's executive order includes a review of the H-1B visa program for highly skilled foreign workers. It does not include a review of the H-2B programs, which Trump companies have used to hire more than 1,100 foreign workers since 2000, according to Reuters. Let's break down the argument being made here. Number 1. The executive order includes a review of the H-1B program, but does not include a review of the H-2B program. This is an objective fact. Number 2. Trump companies have used H-2B programs to hire more than 1,100 foreign workers since 2000, according to Reuters. This is an objective fact. Number 3. Implication. This makes Trump a hypocrite, as he is deliberately excluding H-2B from the executive order so as to benefit from his company still hiring foreign workers to the detriment of American workers. This is a subjective opinion. This one is a little more clever than the last, as it actually hides its argument underneath an implication that it expects the reader to discover. Note the citation to Reuters within the argument. This is another tactic typically used by legacy media, in which a credible source is cited that gives information backing up their statement of objective fact, but due to its proximity in their argument to their subjective opinion, it gives the illusion of also verifying their subjective opinion as accurate. Note that no explanation is provided for what exactly the difference is in the H-2B visa program. This is because, you guessed it, it destroys their argument. Allow me to read from the official government website for the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. The H-2B program allows U.S. employers or U.S. agents who meet specific regulatory requirements to bring foreign nationals to the United States to fill temporary, non-agricultural jobs. A U.S. employer or U.S. agent, as described in the regulations, must file Form I-129, Petition for Non-Immigrant Worker, on a prospective worker's behalf. To qualify for H-2B non-immigrant classification, the petitioner must establish that there are not enough U.S. workers who are able, willing, qualified, and available to do the temporary work. Employing H-2B workers will not adversely affect the wages and working conditions of similarly employed U.S. workers, and its need for the prospective worker's services or labor is temporary, regardless of whether the underlying job can be described as temporary. Upon reading the description of the program, it seems rather evident to me why Trump and his constituency would not need to change the laws regarding the H-2B program, as they are already structured in such a way as to heavily favor Americans over foreign workers. This concludes our breakdown of this article. I hope I provided a bit of insight as to the inner machinations of a spin piece like this. In your day-to-day life, I would highly suggest scrutinizing all news articles in a similar manner, if not, even more rigorously. Next, I'll be doing a spin journalism piece from the right, followed in succession by another from the left. I'll see you all next time.